Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric Series Emulation Night School, where I show you how to set up some of the most popular emulators out there to play some of the best games from some of the best platforms. And if you can't tell already, today we are doing Virtual Boy on Mednafen. While Virtual Boy was not a success at the market and doesn't have the biggest library in the world, there are some definite must-play games like Jack Bros right here that you're going to want to play on your system. And because Virtual Boy hardware is very expensive and very delicate, this is how 99% of you are going to do it. And honestly, it is definitely worth setting up. Before we get too far involved, though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell. Definitely helps us out. If you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. And if you need extra help, I do have the Patreon tier for Emulation Night School, where you get direct chat from me. Now, do be aware that if you followed my Mednafen setup guide for the Sega Saturn, the first part of this video is going to go through where to find Mednafen, how to get the graphical user interface set up, and how to configure everything to start playing any games. If you do not need that, skip to 556 in the timeline. That will be where the actual Virtual Boy specific setup is going to come in. But Mednafen is an absolutely awesome emulator that doesn't hold your hand whatsoever. If you don't grab the graphical user interface, you're going to have to do everything through the command line, and I'm assuming most people do not want to do that. But this is the list of systems it emulates, and it does an extremely good job of everything. I'd probably use DuckStation definitely over Mednafen for Sony PlayStation, but everything else here is going to be a great time. In some instances, it's going to be the only emulator on the market I would recommend, like Virtual Boy. And like I said, there is a lot of fun to be had. And before you mention it, I know you can do Virtual Boy emulation on the 3DS and even have the 3D aspect involved as well. I will probably do a video on that in the future, so long as Nintendo kind of keeps their chill and doesn't keep hitting videos where hardware is modified. They've been a little bit reticent to actually do something like that, but if you want to see it, leave me a comment down below. But again, there's games on the Virtual Boy that you probably never played before that are so unique and so different, it's definitely worth checking out. Something like this game right here, Innsmouth no Yakata, is just a wild first-person adventure that kind of takes a lot of Lovecraftian horror vibes and just runs with them, and it definitely is something that I feel like most people haven't played, but would definitely enjoy playing if they had Virtual Boy emulation set up. So that's exactly what we're going to get going on today. So you'll see here on the Mednafen site, you'll grab the most recent version. As of the recording of this video, it's 1.32.1, but if it's newer than that, that's what you're going to grab. And because these emulation videos are predicated on using Windows, we're going to grab the Windows executable there. But if you are on something like Mac, pretty much everything in this tutorial is going to be the exact same outside the graphical user interface. So go ahead and grab Mednafen. It's going to download to your download folders, and that will be step one. The second part is we're getting MedGUI Reborn, which is going to be a graphical user interface or front end, so you don't need to get into the command line whatsoever, because by default Mednafen works in a command line situation, so front ends like this are going to keep it much easier for you. There's an entire list of everything the front end does, but for the most part it's going to allow you to configure your controls, all of the different audio and visual settings, as well as the emulator settings, get all of your games organized into folders, and then booted up within Mednafen in and of itself. You'll see here on the right hand side of the GitHub page, there's going to be releases. As of the recording of this video, it is 0.125. If it's newer than that, definitely grab that one. Just grab the newest one you see. And in the next step, I will show you how to install both Mednafen as well as MedGUI Reborn, so that everything is in the proper place. So just go ahead and download the zip. It's going to be the first file in the assets folder, and that's going to pop over to your download folders as well. So we need the Mednafen build from GitHub or their website, and we also need MedGUI Reborn from GitHub. Now be aware that Mednafen does not install it unpacked, so you can pick a folder on your system wherever you want MedGUI Reborn and Mednafen to live. Just don't move it after we string everything together, because some of the linking for MedGUI Reborn is predicated on knowing the path of Mednafen. So just pick a place you want these to go and go ahead and leave it there. First, we're going to unzip Mednafen. You're going to see a folder pop up, and while there is an executable inside of it, it's not really going to launch into anything because it's looking for command line arguments to run, which I'm not going to teach you, because with the GUI it really is something that isn't necessary at this point in time. You'll see here, if I just go ahead and click that twice, the executable will say no command line argument specified, which means it doesn't know what it's supposed to do whatsoever. It's just going to close. So we'll go ahead and unzip MedGUI Reborn into the Mednafen folder. You'll just see we can hit extract here, and it's going to create its own folder for MedGUI Reborn. Doesn't matter that it's in a separate folder. This is where you're going to launch Mednafen from. You'll see the folder for MedGUI Reborn, and then from there you're going to see different executables inside of it. So it's fine that it's nested like this. Just go ahead and pop into that folder, and you're going to see a bunch of different files, including medguir.exe. That's what we're going to launch. That's going to be the Mednafen front end. When you first launch this, it's going to give you a couple pop-up messages, which we will go over in the meantime. You're going to see here it's going to ask you what type of graphical user interface you want, whether you want the text menu or the icon menu. I do recommend text, as does MedGUI Reborn, so I just say hit yes here, and you're going to see this right now. If this is your first time, it's going to say select a valid Mednafen path. We need to navigate to wherever you unzip Mednafen from. In my instance, the desktop on a Saturn folder, because I did this Saturn example first. You'll go ahead and just pick the Mednafen folder and then go ahead and hit OK at the bottom. That will string MedGUI Reborn together, and you'll be playing Virtual Boy games that sound incredible. Soundtrack sample, and I'll be right back. Okay, soundtrack samples and tutorials are unnecessary, but I love the music in Panic Bomber so much I made you listen to it. Now, when we went over the Sega Saturn example of how to set this up, there was that firmware folder, and I had you copy over 2 different BIOS files for Sega Saturn. The good thing is, for Virtual Boy, no BIOS is needed whatsoever, so you don't have to worry about bringing any other files along for the ride except the games you want. And I recommend making a games folder within the Mednafen folder. You'll see there from the Saturn example, I already have that. Just go ahead and make a folder and call it whatever you want that makes sense. Virtual Boy would be my recommendation, because that is what we're actually playing today. And then from there, you will copy the games that you definitely dumped from your own cartridges over, and they're probably going to come in a zip file format. But Mednafen does not want the zips, it wants the files inside of them, so go ahead and unpack all of them here. You'll see on 7-zip we have an extract here, but I just go ahead and click that, and then we can delete all of the zip files because we're not going to be using those. We want the .vb or .virtual boy file extension. That's what Mednafen is going to be looking for, so you can delete them if you want. From there, we're going to pop back into the MedGUI Reborn folder and launch medguir.exe. But now we have to get it set up for Virtual Boy specifically. At the top left-hand corner of the window, there's going to be a drop-down menu with all the different systems Mednafen can handle. Obviously, VB is going to stand for Virtual Boy here. And the first thing we want to do is get our games ingested in and ready to play. So go ahead and click Load, and then click Folder. From there, go ahead and navigate to wherever you put the games. If you follow this tutorial, it'll be in the Mednafen folder under Games, and then you'll be able to select the drop down from there. Just go ahead and click Virtual Boy and hit OK, and you'll see all of the games automatically populate onto the screen. If I hit OK right here, there they are. But if you launch it from here, you're going to have a full 3D effect. Now, if you want to wear 3D glasses on your PC and play these games, totally do it. For me, about 10 to 15 seconds later, I would start getting a slight headache, and about 10 to 15 minutes later, I would have a massive migraine that would put me on the couch asleep for the rest of the day. You can decide if this is for you or not, but I want to show you how to play these games in pure 2D, because I think that's how most people are going to be doing it. If we go up to Config and we go to Emulator, there's going to be a ton of different options for every single system in here. Some of these, like sound and video filters, are going to be for every single core, but you want to move over to the first Virtual Boy tab. You're going to see here there is a 3D mode. It says Anaglyph right here. That is that blue and green 3D that you knew from back in the day from watching movies if you ever went to see one. And there is a drop down menu as well, so go ahead and select left or right. This is just going to show you one image on the screen, and now when we pop back into Panic Bomber, you're going to see it is in black and white and it is in 2D. This is the primary way to play when you were using Mednafen. So either left or right is either going to show you the left hand side of the eye or the right hand side, but it will be identical. Now if you go into the configuration for the joypad, make sure the console is selected as Virtual Boy. We're going to need to do this, and you're going to need to bind all of the controllers as you see fit, but do remember that the Virtual Boy has 2 D-pads. I recommend using a right analog stick for that right pad. Once you get everything configured, you're going to be able to start playing games, and that's what we're really here for you to be able to play Virtual Boy games on your PC without the need for expensive hardware. And if you follow the tutorial as I showed you on screen to this point in time, you'll be able to double click any of those games in the listings that you added. It'll load up into a window, you'll be controlling it, it'll be in 2D, you don't have to worry about the need for any sort of glasses whatsoever, and you can play each and every Virtual Boy game to your heart's content with this really nice 2D black and white pixel art, which I think looks better than the original console's red, but you can play around with colors in the options menu as well. There are more options in here, but they aren't relevant to the operation of Virtual Boy. Are you enjoying it? So I haven't showed those to you, but if you bind your controllers, set up Mednafen the way I showed you, switch the 3D to either left or right, and just get everything in its right spot as you've seen in the video, you'll be playing every Virtual Boy game ever made in the comfort of your own home, and that definitely is something that we all want to do. But short of that, follow the tutorial, play Virtual Boy, and I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye bye.